Why do babies wake up in the middle of the night?
They are just growing up, they are just observing their surroundings. So if in the night when I wake up and I cry, and if my mama takes me in the godi and mama is rocking to me, if I cry, I get to go to mama's godi. If I cry, papa's going to pick me up and walk.
Share with us some of the best sleep training techniques.
Also, let me tell you, there are none of these methods which are zero cry method.
How can sleep training work with parents having multiple kids? Co-sleeping is very common because we do not have the luxury of space.
But we as parents should be there to hold our boundaries.
Hi Bhakti, welcome to the podcast.
Hi Zahra, thank you so much for having me here.
You know what? सबसे difficult phase postpartum का होता है when a child is not sleeping through the night and the parents are absolutely clueless what to do. But in spite of that, sleep training your infant and baby is nowhere on the priority list, especially in India. Why does that happen?
Zahra, I'll tell you, because you know what, that is not a part of our culture, right? We have heard stories कि हमने आपको साथ में सुलाया है, हमने तो आपको झूला दिया है, or we have co-sleeping. But now the things are changing. Parents are more evolving in terms of the essence of sleep. Also, both parents are working now. ठीक है. Also, we had extended support in the family. In-laws है, grandparents है, or we even have helps. So we have a lot of caregivers. That's why we don't feel the need to actually invest into doing something with the sleep.
But do you think in India this concept is changing, and if yes, is it changing slowly, or sleep training is being given much importance now?
In India, it's definitely changing, okay? It's very, very evolving. Like I said, that because both parents are working now, even if you're not working, everybody loves their sleep. And मतलब हम ठीक है, हम एक टाइम तक हम कर रहे हैं, झूला कर रहे हैं, ये कर रहे हैं, पर कब तक वो करना है? एंड वी आर ऑल अंडरस्टैंडिंग कि स्लीप इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. अभी आज तो हमारे अडल्ट्स के लिए देख लो, स्लीप गमीज आ गई है, मैग्नीशियम ले लो, ये ले लो, हम सब चीज़ की बात करें तो हमें खुद को समझ में आ रहा है कि हमें कितनी प्रॉब्लम हो रही है. तो ना वी आर लाइक कि नहीं, हम ही नहीं सो पा रहे, तो बच्चे को वी वांट टू हैव एस्टैब्लिश लाइक अ हेल्दी स्लीप फाउंडेशन फॉर किड्स नाउ ऑल्सो. And it's not really about their independent sleep. It's about their rest. It's about their growth. It's about their immune system. Also, it's about us. We want to also be rested as mothers, as fathers. We want to get our sleep back. We have to do the day-to-day things also. So the focus is on everything. So parents are really having the outlook. They are more open to trying independent sleep, setting routines, doing all of those things.
Fair enough. अच्छा अभी ये बताओ, what does sleep training exactly mean?
So sleep training is also that we have to teach our child to sleep. It doesn't always mean abandonment or leaving them alone. Okay, it means nurturing their sleep to help them sleep on their own. Here I like to give an example. हम as adults को भी आदत होती है, किसी को आदत होती है पेट पे सोने की, किसी को आदत होती है तकिया पैर के नीचे रख के सोने की. हम भी आधी रात को उठते हैं और हम सेम पोजीशन में होके वापस सो जाते हैं. अब क्योंकि हमारा सपोर्ट एक्सटर्नल नहीं है तो हम किसी को डिस्टर्ब नहीं करते. पर अगर बच्चे को हम सोने तक सपोर्ट करेंगे, झूला झुला रहे हैं या थपथपा रहे हैं या कडल करके सो रहे, कोई भी चीज़ लाइक पूरे सोने तक हम वो कर रहे हैं, तो जब बच्चे की आँख खुलेगी तो बच्चा क्या करेगा? भाई मुझे वो सेम चीज़ दे दो तो ही मैं सोऊंगा. अदरवाइज हाउ विल आई फॉल टू स्लीप बिकॉज आई डोंट नो. Right? So sleep training is essentially that we need to nurture and help the child to sleep on their own. In this, either the child will sleep through the night, right? We talk about sleeping. When we say sleep training, it doesn't really mean the child has to be in a separate room. You can actually have independent sleep established with the child being on the same bed, with the child being in the same room. You can also room share, or you can have a separate nursery.
वाओ, तो जब आप ऐसे एक्सप्लेन करते हो इट जस्ट मेक्स मोर सेंस कि जैसे आप बच्चे को चलना सिखाते हो, खाना सिखाते हो, पॉटी ट्रेनिंग सिखाते हो, इट्स द सेम वे दैट we need to teach the child to fall asleep independently.
Right.
At what age does sleep training start, and by what age the child should be sleep trained?
Okay. So when we actually implement let's say the pillars of independent sleep, right? See, the first 3 months, we also know it's called as a fourth trimester, right? The parents are also trying to understand the baby. After 4 months is when parents should be actually focusing in establishing independent sleep. Why after 4 months is because their sleep cycles are almost developed by fourth months. I mean, parents have figured out कि ये हमारा feeding schedule है, this is how my temperament of my baby is. Then you can adapt that what am I going to do, where do I need the support, and after 4 months you can start working on the pillars of establishing a good sleep for sleep training.
Because it's a lot to do with not only the child being ready, it's more to do with the parent being ready. We were talking about this.
Of course. And
before
Zahra,
the
I
podcast
tell any
started.
parent that I speak to, right? I was like, sleep training कब करना है? Sleep training चालू करने की एज 4 months है. पर कब करने की, you can even do it at, like we were discussing, you can even do it at 8 years, you can even do it at 18 months, you can even do it at like a 1 year mark. Because for sleep training, child doesn't have to be ready, you have to be ready. Again coming back to, हम बेबी लेड वीनिंग के लिए हम बच्चे को कितना भी हम बोल ले कि हाँ ये बेबी 6 months पे रेडी होता है, पर हम फिर भी इंडिकेटर्स के लिए वेट करते हैं कि मेरा बेबी वो रेडी है कि नहीं. एट द सेम टाइम इवन फॉर स्लीप ट्रेनिंग एज पेरेंट्स वी हैव टू बी रेडी टू मेक द चेंज, बिकॉज हमें बदलना है, हम कैसे रिस्पॉन्स कर रहे हैं.
And at the same time, consistency होना चाहिए. So
Of
we
course.
need to be like mentally, physically
Yes,
prepared to
and
take this up.
consistency is our best friend in our parenting journey. Let's say for that. Yeah. And for sleep more so. Let me tell you this, why we say consistency. क्योंकि अभी जैसे बच्चा सो रहा है, क्योंकि हमने वो रिस्पॉन्स को इस्टेब्लिश किया है. कभी आप पहले जब बच्चा छोटा था, अगर बच्चा पैट करके सो रहा था, आप पैट करके सुला रहे थे, पर एक रात हुई फसी नाइट, ओके, एंड देन यू डिसाइडेड ओ माई चाइल्ड इज नॉट सेटलिंग, लेट मी वॉक अप एंड डाउन और लेट मी रॉक, राइट? यू स्टार्टेड रॉकिंग द चाइल्ड. You didn't stop rocking when the child stopped crying. You kept rocking till the child fell asleep. Okay? Now day 2, you went in again. Again there is something happening. Now the child is crying again. You didn't go to patting only. Kal rocking se soya hai, so today you started rocking again. Third day, maybe the child is okay now. The daytime sleep has been good, everything is good. Third day, you didn't even wait for child to tell you anything. You started rocking and you just kept rocking as a response, and we've established now my child only sleeps with rocking, right? So we don't go, this is what our response is. They don't understand, they don't have a concept of time. They don't know what are the rules. They are very small, right? They only understand how we are responding to them.
Bhakti, tell me one more thing. Sleep training is only important so that the child and the parents get sleep at a stretch, or it is beyond that? Are there any overall benefits of sleep training?
Of course, one of the, the plus point is that the child is sleeping long stretches of sleep, and, because the child is sleeping, parent is also getting the sleep. Of course, when the child is sleeping well, there is brain development, their immune system. Today, if your child is also not well, first thing we focus on अच्छे से सोते हैं. राइट, हम हमारे लिए भी ये सोचते हैं और बच्चों के लिए भी ये सोचते हैं. सो इट्स देयर इम्यून सिस्टम, इट्स देयर ग्रोथ, फॉर देम टू इवन रेगुलेट देयर इमोशंस. एवरीबडी नीड्स टू स्लीप वेल.
Let's address 2 age groups,
Right.
Infant and toddler. Share with us an ideal sleep schedule for an infant, which includes daytime sleep, sleeping through the night, naps, etc. And then share the same for the toddler as well.
So now when we say infant we are going to classify from the age of 4 months to 1 year old. Okay, let's look at children between 4 to 6 or 7 months. Okay, now these children have to be on a 3 to 4 nap schedule. Okay, their daytime sleep should be about 3 to 4 hours and their nighttime sleep should be 11 hours. Now while we are doing the schedule, what's also important is how many hours are they awake between the naps. Okay, so what for between a 4 to 6 month old your schedule will look like. Their awake windows range between 1.5 hour to 3 hour. Similarly, when we talk about 7 to say 1 year, your child would be anywhere from 3 to 2 nap onto a schedule, going again from 2 to 3.5 hours in the daytime sleep. Okay, nighttime sleep we are still keeping at 11. Your awake windows will range from 2 to 3.5 or 4 hours. Okay, so infant sleep, if you notice, from those 3 months to those 3 months, there is a lot of change. The daytime sleep is also reducing, the awake windows are increasing, because we have to ensure your daytime sleep plus your nighttime sleep plus total number of hours the child is awake, all these 3 things should add to 24. तभी हमारा दिन बनेगा. Sometimes what happens, children are awake for a longer time
Yes.
or either sleeping for a longer time, and that's why they are not able to get their night sleep properly. Now coming to toddler age, 1 year se upar is what we identify as toddler age. Your 1 year to about 15 to 18 months is when your child should be on a 2 nap schedule. Your daytime sleep should anywhere between 2 to 2.5 hours of sleep. There could be some babies doing 3 hours, but ideal is 2 to 2.5 hours of sleep. And your child should be on a 2 nap schedule with awake windows again ranging from 2.5 hours to up to 4 hours. 18 months onwards is when you should actually start dropping to a 1 nap schedule. So 18 months to up to 2 years is when you should start being on a 1 nap schedule, where again our daytime sleep is to about 2 hours and your awake windows range from about 4 to 5 hours. And completely dropping the nap should somewhere come. Most babies start showing the sign after 3.5 years only to start dropping the nap.
Why do babies wake up in the middle of the night all charged up and ready to play? What is going on in the child's brain and body when they wake up in the middle of the night?
Okay. So whenever we have a child who is waking up in the middle of the night and is ready to party, okay, that means we are waking up, we are having a split night, okay. Most often what we should be looking at is, we should look at what was our day like, okay. So one of the main reasons for having a split night is if your child is sleeping too much or too little in the day. Right?
Okay.
One tip for that is, anytime when you have a midnight wake up or you have a wake up where a child is wide awake, first thing you should do is try to cut your nap by at least 30 minutes. Go slow. We don't have to go straight 1 hour or straight minus the nap. Most often we parents do that, especially at a 1 nap or 2 nap, we just evacuate 1 nap only altogether. We don't want to do that. What we are going to do is, we are going to just reduce the nap by 30 minutes and see whether that makes a difference.
So this reminds me of something which most parents do. बोलते बच्चे को इतना थका दो, दिन में इतना एक्टिव रखो कि वो जल्दी सो जाए, पूरी रात सो जाए. बट यू नो दैट backfires also. So many times moms land up saying पूरा दिन एक्टिव था फिर भी रात को नहीं सो रहा है. So what is the case here? Are they under-tired, overtired? Is this the right thought process?
Okay. Of course they are overtired. हम नहीं बोला है कि हम उन्हें बहुत थका रहे हैं, राइट. ओके ज़ारा, यहाँ पे एक बहुत ही दिस इज़ एन इम्पॉर्टेंट आउटलुक दैट आई गिव टू ऑल पेरेंट्स दैट आई स्पीक टू इज दैट is that the same thing you will think for yourself? Okay, we as adults, will I overtire myself? When I am very, very tired, do I get the best sleep? No. My body is, having certain small of aches, right? I am restless. My brain is very, very active. I cannot get sleep because I'm very, very tired. The same thing is happening for your baby. If your baby is at an age where babies need to be awake only for 4 hours, okay? If you're keeping your baby awake for 5 to 6 hours, first thing what will happen is, of course, there's going to be poor sleep. Second, what will happen is, the baby will take too long to settle also at bedtime. Right? Third thing इसमें ये होता है, इतना थकाया, इतना सब किया, फिर भी my baby is jumping at bedtime, right? क्योंकि they don't have that, they don't have that much of logic and brain development right now to say that, listen, I am feeling very sleepy, let me go and sit on my bed. Okay, for them, if that window has passed, okay, they are going to, we have there's going to be a cortisol rise, right? And when that happens, of course, stress hormones have, released, and they are just going to go into, more adventurous, right? They are all over the place, they are not able to settle easily. So what happens is, when we are overtiring the child, even if we are rocking them, even if we are patting them, we'll have to do a lot more of it.
Correct. But okay, the child goes to sleep. Again, coming back to my scenario, that 4 or 5 o'clock gets up with full energy, ready
Yes.
to party. How should parents respond that time?
Yeah.
Because generally हम भी खेलना चालू कर देते, because हमको लगता है बच्चे तो यही करते हैं, अभी थोड़ी देर खेलेंगे, 2 घंटा फिर वापस हो जाएंगे.
Right.
But what is the correct way of dealing with this?
First, अगर हमारा morning wake up हुआ, we should definitely try to still keep the room lights off. Okay, or if there's a dim light, we should be responding. We should also respond that as you would respond to any night waking. Okay, let's not treat that as an early morning wake up. Okay, you have to keep responding. Of course, in these scenarios are there, but if the child is like calling out to me, crying, is trying to come out of the crib, right? You will still try and be in the dark environment. Why we are doing that? So suppose if your child wakes up at 6:30, but the child is woken up at 5 o'clock. Try and be the dark environment at least till 6 or at least till 6:15. Okay, maybe get your child on the bed, cuddle with them, keep an environment dark. Why? Because we don't want the child to get overtired up to the next nap. Okay, when we keep them in minus, like, subtle environments, we are not getting them overtired. Okay, when we start playing with them, that means it's active time for them. So that means if your child is supposed to have a wake window of 3.5 hours, but from 5 o'clock it started, by the time your nap comes, your awake window is going to be 4 or 5 hours, right? Which is already very long. That nap will also go for a toss. Okay, so we should try and minus any activities, not really entertain the child at that time. The second most important thing, if you are struggling with early morning wake ups, the best solution that is there is that day you should do an early bedtime. Okay, whenever we have any sleep problem with a child waking up early, so even if you're regularly, your child is waking up at 7 o'clock, but if you have a child waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning, okay, that day you should do your bedtime 30 minutes early.
Why?
Okay, firstly, because the early morning wake up has happened because there is something off in the schedule. Remember this always, your night and your daytime are always holding hands. Okay, there is a sleep deficit that happened previously, and that is why there was an early morning wake up. Now, if I stay in the same loop of yesterday, I am not going to reach anywhere, because I will possibly do a bedtime where, what will happen? I will still have an early morning wake up, right? So sometimes these awake windows and all can also get confusing because of the early morning wake up. But because there is a sleep deficit, anytime there is a sleep disruption, early bedtime is the best solution.
Now coming to the actual exercise of sleep training.
Right.
आई गेस हम सबको मोस्टली सिर्फ एक मेथड हमने
सुना
सुना
है।
है विच इज़ क्राई इट आउट.
Right.
बच्चे को कॉट में रख दो, बच्चा रोएगा एंड फाइनली he or she will get so tired that fall asleep. And I guess इसके वजह से so many parents were not very sleep training pro. But I'm sure like this is not the only method. Share with us some of the best sleep training techniques.
Okay. Of course, Zahra, cry it out is not the only method, and how much we all are talking about gentle parenting, it's good to know that there are a lot of gentle sleep practices. Okay, you don't have to leave your child in the room and go out. Okay, they don't even have a concept of time. So the 3 minutes, 5 minutes that we are waiting, we are overwhelming ourselves only. See, when we choose a method, it has to be according to your parenting philosophy and the child's temperament. So one of the methods, if to list down the methods, we have a pick up, put down method, we have chair method, we have where you can, the parents are feeding themselves. Okay, there are quick check-in methods. But in all these methods, there is nothing, the methods are listed, but you have to see how your child wants you to respond. The whole game here of sleep training is about us responding to them. What I largely practice, and I tell parents that it is your response to them. Also, let me tell you, there are none of these methods which are zero cry methods, okay? And I'll emphasize on this is why, because let's understand, crying is a way of communication for the child. So when we are doing this, and if the child is crying, right? Because the child is telling us, I am not okay with it, and which is normal. क्योंकि हमने कोई चीज़ बदली है, वो तो हम कुछ भी चीज़ बदलते हैं तो बच्चा क्राई करके ही हमें बताता है. So when we do this, but we as parent should be there to hold our boundaries, saying that, okay, you're crying, I'm going to come and hold you, or I'm going to come and pick you up, or I'm going to be here and I'm going to just talk to you. So there are these kind of various ways where we can start establishing boundaries and get into sleep training.
So similarly, there must be some methods which are not at all workable, and in turn they stress out the child and the parent. So which are these sleep training techniques which don't work?
So I'll tell you what, that even though there is a lot of discussion about this cry it out having mental effect and everything, but I don't think there is any scientific proving. We have all these sleep experts talking about it and everything, because what we need to change is we need to change our perspective in terms of that crying is a way of communication. Okay, If you feel your child is very temperamental and you are a parent who cannot handle crying, go for gentler method. What the child needs to understand that whenever I cry, I am going to be responded to. See, children are perfectionists. I'm sure you must have heard that, when the child drops the spoon, the child will drop it 10 times. Why does a child drop it 10 times? मैंने पहली बार स्पून गिराई, स्पून की आवाज़ आई, मम्मा ने स्माइल किया, पापा ने क्लैप किया, राइट? मैंने दूसरी बार स्पून गिराई, स्पून की आवाज़ आई, मम्मा का एक्सप्रेशन सेम नहीं था, पापा का भी एक्सप्रेशन सेम नहीं था. They are just growing up, they are just observing their surroundings. So if in the night when I wake up and I cry, and if my mama takes me in the godi and mama is rocking to me, I am crying. Every time mama is taking in the godi, child has understood. If I cry, I get to go to mama's godi. If I cry, papa is going to pick me up and walk, right? But if the child understands that, yes, I'm going to get picked up, but I'm going to get put back on the bed to sleep, then those are certain clear boundaries that we are trying to establish with them.
So basically, there are no not
There's
good
nothing,
methods.
yeah.
It's just about how you take this entire thing and set boundaries.
Yes. And also it is about choose a method which goes with your parenting philosophy, right? Yeah. What do you want to do? There are parents who are like, we are okay with it. I think we'll do this. There are parents who try the cry it out and then realize कि नहीं हमसे नहीं होने वाला. वो third night को बहुत difficult था, हम नहीं कर सकते. Go for gentler methods, see how your child's temperament is, and then select that. There is a lot of it, and that is the reason if you're struggling a lot sometimes on the method, because sometimes you start with one method, by the time you're following the sixth step, you're already on the fourth method that you've read about.
I guess it's a cocktail of all the methods.
Of course, that happens.
Acha, now tell me, what does a sleep training coach do? How do you all work?
Right.
Are you all available 24/7? Are you all available in the middle of the night? Take us through a scenario.
Basically, the sleep consultant has a microscopic view on your child's schedule. Okay. The sleep consultant is basically going to look at your child's schedule in a complete picture. Okay, how much a child needs a sleep, age appropriate awake windows, nighttime sleep. We first work on their schedules. Okay, we take into account the parenting philosophy, the child's temperament, what are the associations child already has. The child is doing contact nap or needs a lot of rocking. Basis that we work on a method. Right, so there are gentle. What I largely practice is parental presence method. I don't even ask the parent to go out of the room. Right, the parent is right there, and that's how we are teaching the child to fall asleep. When a parent is coming to me, we go into their schedules. Okay, so we work on the schedule because, like I said, a day and night is holding hand. So we'll work on the awake windows. We'll ensure the child is getting age appropriate daytime sleep. We work on the method. Now, when we do the method also, so it is online because let me tell you, जो boundaries hold करनी है वो parent को hold करनी है, right? Parent has to understand that I have to do this. So what we do is that we explain to the parents that what are the boundaries. Parents also share with us that I'm okay with this, not okay with this. Like I said, there is a lot of fluidity that can be kept in this, okay? There are a lot of layers of comfort also that we can add on to the method. When the parent comes on to it, we explain them the entire method that has to be done, get them on board. Usually the mother and father, they both are there on this call, where they are understanding everything. Okay, daytime mein ye karna hai, nighttime mein ye karna hai. And then it is all about parents practicing that. Okay, so when a sleep consultant, when a parent comes to a sleep consultant, the sleep consultant is looking at sleep at a whole picture.
I also wanted to ask about co-sleeping. Abhi India mein co-sleeping is very common because we do not have the luxury of space. ज़रूरी नहीं है हर एक बच्चे का एक अलग रूम है या एक separate bed है. So can co-sleeping and sleep training work together? और सबसे पहले co-sleeping अगर आप explain कर सकते हो, what does co-sleeping mean exactly?
Okay. Co-sleeping is basically जब बच्चा parents के bed पे सो रहा है, right? We are almost there. Here we are not really talking of an extended bed where there is a separate mattress. We are talking about the child is sleeping between the parents, okay? As per safety guidelines हम बोलते हैं कि ये नहीं करना चाहिए, पर हमें पता है इंडिया में many families still prefer to do that and that's completely okay. इसमें भी हम इंडिपेंडेंट स्लीप कर सकते हैं. लाइक हम जो स्लीप ट्रेनिंग प्रैक्टिसेस है आप को स्लीपिंग में भी कर सकते हो बिकॉज What is sleep training is independent sleep. That means what we are going to achieve is that at bedtime, I'm going to put my child on the bed. I am going to either sit or lie down next to the child, and my child will sleep on his own without me patting, rocking, or feeding the child to go to sleep. Okay, so that's what independent sleep is. Now, whether you are doing that in co sleeping format, you can have the crib of your baby in the same room also. Okay, so in room sharing or co sleeping, in both places, sleep training practices can completely be done.
There is another scenario, siblings.
Yeah.
मैं अपना एग्जाम्पल बताती हूँ आपको. So my daughter, she was around 7 years old when I had my son. Now I pulled her out of the room because my son Heather used to get up multiple times in the middle of the night. So as a result, now Heather is sleep trained,
Right.
but Aliza has moved into my room,
Right.
and now she refuses to
Go.
out of my room because now she is very much comfortable sleeping with us. How can sleep training work with parents having multiple kids and those kids have different age sleep needs? What advice you would give to parents?
Firstly, we have to understand that when we have siblings, when we have two kids together, we have to know that their sleeping together is their way of life, right? That is a long term thing for us. We want them to learn to adapt to each other, right? Of course, most common thing that we do, that like what you have done is, when the younger baby is waking up too much, we don't want the older one, okay, to get disturbed. So we kind of change their scenarios, okay? In this case, what you have to do is, once you know that your younger one has come to a little bit of a schedule, okay, you can have their bedtimes a little staggered so that each one is getting the connection time with the parent and doing their bedtime, but also start having those clear boundaries saying, okay, from tomorrow you are going to be sleeping together. Also, let me tell you, usually the bedtime में जो हमें rules set करने हैं, right, like you're changing their bedtime, or you're doing a different method, or you're changing the place of sleep, okay, all those things should be discussed during the day with the child. We often do these negotiations at bedtime, and that battle is lost only. Right?
Correct, yes.
So if we are changing, like suppose, sometimes we can also have a different parent doing the bedtime who the child is not used to, or we are putting a child in their own room suddenly, okay? We start talking only dinner time, say, okay? We need to include the child in our plan from before. Even as small as 6 months old wants to know what's happening with them, right? We are talking about their routine. I mean, we are teaching them this is fan, this is green color, yellow color, but we don't tell them what's happening with them, right? So for siblings, it's important that we are, of course, they know they are siblings, they know, but of course, as an older child, there is always a little bit of let's say the insecurity that the first child develops, when another child comes in the house, right? So of course, while you work on that, what you need to work on is you need to start establishing that, okay, you both are going to be sleeping together. You can have like a plan. So you say, okay, from Monday, you both are going to be sleeping together. First, I will be doing, let's say Heather's bedtime. After that, Alicia, I'll sit with you and we will do story time, but we will sleep in the same room. That actually works better because we've already had that discussion. It's only about the application then.
So preparation and clear communication is the key here.
It's very, very important. Even when I have babies that I work, like I said, 6 month old, or when we are working for 8 months old, I keep telling parents that in the day, talk to your child. Tell your child you're going to have breakfast, then you're going to have, or if it's a feed, you're going to have feed, you're going to have bath, then you're going to go down for a nap. Okay? While they're having a bath, tell them after your bath, you're going to go down for a nap. Okay? Tell them the steps. When we establish communications, what we are doing is you're following your actions and your words. You're linking them, right? You're following your words with your actions, okay? What does that do? That also builds in trust for the child. Whatever my mama, papa are saying, they are doing, right? तो रात को अगर आप बोल रहे हो मैं यहाँ पे हूँ, go to sleep, those assurances will actually start showing result because even in the daytime, you are telling them and doing the same thing. So there is no ambiguity, because actually हम बहुत सारी boundaries हमारी break करते हैं. In the daytime, we'll say, okay, finish your lunch, otherwise that's it, done. Child, of course, will not have lunch, and then what we'll do, we'll take a book or we'll take something and we'll feed the child. So
That's
you know
the
what?
mission.
That's the mission, right? We are like, ये तो खत्म करना ही है. So child ने क्या समझा, मैं नहीं करूँगा, कुछ ना कुछ रास्ते से मिल ही जाएगा. But अगर ये छोटी छोटी चीज़ें जब हम कर रहे हैं, while we are breaking the big ones sometimes, जब हम छोटी छोटी चीज़ें कर रहे हैं, we are still keeping the consistency of, you know, following up our words with our actions.
They're so fascinating and interesting, and actually treating the child, even if he or she is an infant, like an individual right from the beginning, and like you're saying, communicating. I guess that's what is needed. Okay, now the child is sleep trained, but then there are certain challenges like nightmares, holidays, special occasions where we give in, and co-sleeping starts again, and uske baad the transition becomes very difficult. How should we deal and transition back to sleep training?
Yeah, we cannot always completely be strictly on schedule, right? Whenever whenever we have got a diversion in our sleep routine, or whenever there is some kind of a change, some late night or anything that has happened, what we need to remember is we need to come back to the routine. Okay, most often after holidays, when we come back, we take longer to go back to our routine, right? We will be like, नहीं अभी कल से अभी आज साथ में सोने दो, कल से करेंगे. वो कल आते आते पता चला बच्चा स्लीप ट्रेन से वापस साथ में सोने लगा. Okay, so it's very important to bounce back to routine. How we bounce back to routine after a holiday, what you could, small things that you can do is that the holiday is getting over. There is a journey time. Again, start talking to your child, saying we are going to go back home. Now you're going to go back to sleeping to your own bed while mama papa sleep on their bed. Okay, from tomorrow we are back home, so we are back into the routine. Start emphasizing the word routine. I'll also go back to my work, or I will be doing my things, and you will go back. These things get you faster back on track. Anytime, this doesn't usually happen only for holidays. Like you said, there's nightmares. Sometimes the child has fallen sick, and we land up co-sleeping with them because we have to monitor. I do that for my daughter. If she's down with fever, I will co-sleep with her because I have to monitor her. Now, once I have done that, I know when my child has gone okay, I will take 1 or 2 days, but then I'll tell her, okay, from tomorrow, I'm going to go back to my room. Right? So we have to learn to go back to that. When we'll go back, of course, it's not again going to be a rose of garden for us, right? So when we'll go back, we will have to have again the same amount of consistency. You will have some pushback. So maybe if, the child was very well sleeping, you just put your child on the bed, you were sitting there and the child was able to sleep. Maybe on the day one, you might have to nurture and support a little bit. Okay, 1-2 days, but your learning has not gone anywhere. The minute it comes back to the child's brain, the child will know, okay, this is what my mama, papa are doing, and this is how I'm going to sleep.
Got it. The term sleep regression is dreaded by all the parents.
I agree.
Please explain us what is sleep regression and how we can continue sleep training during the sleep regression phase.
Okay. So firstly, sleep regression, I know everybody does, oh, my child is regressing, oh, my child. But let me tell you, it's a good news. Because regression is actually your child showing development. Okay. What is actual regression? That 4th month regression, to sabhi bahut dread karte hain. Because everybody has also spoken of 4th month pe regression aayega, right? Okay. So the first 3 months mein the baby is still developing their sleep. Okay. 4th month pe now the baby has had a brain development where they can lift their head. They can, maybe sometimes, they're learning to turn, they're trying to turn. So when they're trying to turn, they're having also a vigil, their vision is also having different dimension. They're understanding their own body, their hands, legs. Their brain is developing almost up to 1,000 to 10,000 neurons. Okay. Now, so much of brain development, the baby is getting overwhelmed. Okay. Now, if the baby is getting overwhelmed, what is the baby going to look for? Comfort. Right? So the baby looks for the mama. At 4th month old, it might just be about, the child just showing signs of cluster feeding, more contact naps, right? Between 6 to 8 months, your regression is visible because, your child is either trying to crawl, trying to lift themselves up, trying to stand up. Okay. So there are various ways, and every time when regression there, it's backed by development. Okay. Here, let's share that how we can combat this. Okay. So when we have regression, first we are identifying that what is the development milestone. See, at 4th month, it's more of just the comfort. So we just have to be patient. We have to offer the comfort at the same time holding a little bit of our boundaries. Us time pe if the child is not sleeping, usually what happens that first 3 months the child is sleeping so well. 4th month pe jab wo bacha regress karke, the sleep patterns are changing and evolving also at 4th months. That is the most time the parents develop most amount of sleep crutches, right? Because we all panic. My child is waking up multiple times. I don't know what to do. So we start rocking, bouncing, everything in the world that we want. What we need to remember is I'm going to do one more thing to support my child, but I'm going to be there and support. Okay? The minute we see that development is kind of, settled into the child, we go back to our boundaries. Okay? In a older child where we see them doing physical developments, okay, or any kind of even, verbal development, the child is trying to talk, the child is trying to make sounds, right? The awake times that we have, we should practice that more and more, okay? Give child space to stand, give child space to crawl, give child space to talk. Usually at the younger age, we say this is crow, this is, this is red color. When the child is having vocabulary development, say, what is this? We need to also change our approach so that the child can also start improving onto the vocabulary, right? Like basically the child can practice. The more we practice, the more child's needs and the brain is settled, right? So then when we are taking them to sleep, they are ready for us.
So basically help them master that milestone.
Yes.
Because once they do that, then that sleep regression will eventually fade off. And when that starts fading off, you go back to your sleep training method.
Yes, you go back to your sleep. You can continue actually your sleep training methods while the child is also regressing.
But it's going to be a little
it's
up
going
and
to be
down
a
and you
little
have to be
up.
available.
Yes.
And then it's like a muscle memory. You go back.
Of course,
to that.
of course.
Now coming to the dropping off naps, I told you I'm going to ask you in detail. Eventually, आपका baby toddler stage में जाता है and then toddlers, they start going to school. एंड जब स्कूल जाना चालू होते हैं उनका एक रूटीन सेट हो जाता है एंड इवेंचुअली यू हैव टू स्टार्ट ड्रॉपिंग नैप्स एंड दैट्स अ वेरी वेरी ट्रिकी स्टेज अगेन बिकॉज इट्स समवेयर बिटवीन ओवर टायर्ड अंडर टायर्ड एक्सेट्रा टेल अस all about dropping naps, how to start, when to start, etc.
Right. Okay. So of course your dropping nap situation will start even from as old as from 6 months onwards, right? क्योंकि उसके पहले तक हम 4-5 naps कर रहे होते हैं. Okay. Here understanding the schedule part of your baby's sleep is very, very important. Your awake windows that you need to practice according to your child's age and your daytime sleep is very, very important. Okay. When you are moving from a 4 to 3 nap schedule also, first thing that you have to remember, if your last nap of the day is hindering your bedtime, okay, so suppose because I need that 4th nap, because my child has been doing a 4th nap, or my child has been doing the 3rd nap, or my child has been doing the 2nd nap, okay, in any nap scenario, if that nap is pushing my bedtime beyond, if it is making my child take longer time to settle to sleep, okay, I am going to think about dropping the nap or capping the nap, okay. In a younger age, in infant stage, when we talk about dropping the naps, we go from 3 to 2 naps, right? In all of these, the first signs come from that only. Because क्या होता है हमारा schedule, it starts going for a toss because that last nap becomes so late in the day that my bedtime is now going to 9, but my child is still waking up at 7 o'clock. Coming to your question, especially for school going children, when we drop the nap, we have like 4 o'clock class जाते जाते बच्चा सो गया, right? Because we've tried to drop the nap because of school and everything. Now 5 o'clock the child has slept, that's it. अब तो रात को कैसे सोएगा, and we are all stressing only for that कि सुलाना नहीं, just ensure that he goes awake, or sometimes child even lands up sleeping in the class, okay. There is something called as quiet time which we should be doing with children, especially for the age 3+ when you're dropping their nap completely in the day. Okay, because when we'll drop the nap, they will be awake for good 12 hours, 12 to 13 hours, right? That's a very long time for them. They're never used to that, okay? It takes time for their body to get adjusted. हमें भी अगर दोपहर की नींद कभी करनी होती है तो it takes a lot of time and effort. I'm sure you'll agree. So whenever we are trying to drop that, we've judged that, okay, you know what, I need to drop the nap, okay? Whenever your child is coming back from school, have 30 minutes to an hour of quiet time. Now, what is quiet time? Again, for 30 minutes to 1 hour, we are minusing all the kind of stimulations for the child. Take your child in a dim lit room, okay? Possibly lie down with the child, read a book, have audio story, just give him some puzzles, give her some, small toys which are not any musical, not very stimulating to brain. Keep the child in a very quiet environment, okay? Once that an hour or 30 minutes or 40 minutes are done, then get going to the rest of the day and ensure you're doing a bedtime little bit early from what you are doing regularly, because the child is also dropped the nap. Okay, why we do this is because we want the child to have rest, right? Most of the time our approach is we don't want the child to sleep. Okay, let's just keep engaging.
Stimulating the
Yes,
child.
we stimulate the child so much, but we understand the child also needs that calm down time, so take them into and establish that quiet time from 30 minutes, go to 40 minutes, go to an hour. Try to have that as, utilize that as more as a connection time for the parent, right? Or even if you are not around, even another caregiver is there, it's okay to just do audio stories or just reading books. That helps the child to start navigating and having their body clock reset for the bedtime.
There are many machines and technology which sort of help with sleeping, like pacifiers, white noise machine, sleep sacks. Do you recommend that you should use these?
Okay. So first thing around white noise, for Indian households, I will say until unless you have pets or you have a very noisy household, then only invest into a white noise machine. Okay, because
Otherwise,
we
it's
have
not
fans.
required?
We have fans.
Okay.
We have fans, okay, because I have often, parents are coming, Bhakti, we have white noise machine, we have this, but you have come to me because, they'll still say that my baby is actually waking up multiple times in the night. So clearly, even after schedule and everything, first thing the white noise machine ne kaam nahi kari hai, okay. Second thing is white noise machine should be established as an association to stimulate sleep or to help sleep, but it shouldn't become a crutch that मैं वो machine चालू करूँगी तो ही मेरा बच्चा सोएगा. All these things have to be used to assist you, not become so dependent that the child cannot sleep with that. Pacifier, again, a very debatable, sleep assistance that we have. Again, it's a parent's choice. Of course, it helps some babies. But if your child is waking up or you are again and again going to your child to just put that pacifier back in the mouth again and again, then clearly that pacifier has become a crutch. Okay. I personally, I do not recommend pacifiers. Sleep sacks, although, are great because we have children, who don't like swaddles, right? वो हाथ निकाल रहे, पैर निकाल रहे. They are waking up just for that because they are so small, sometimes they get scared with their own hand movement also, right? Like that tiny face is so cute. So when they're sleep sacks, in fact, can also become, a very good association because that indicates sleep, right? That you have been put in the sleep sack and, now it's time for bed, right? When we are doing our bedtime routine, sleep sack is a good thing because as safety guidelines for sleep, we don't try to even put a blanket on the child, right? So sleep sack can actually keep the child warm, comfortable in the night, where, they can actually even have a movement. So sleep sack is something that I really, really recommend. White noise and pacifier both are like little bit, take a call. Like, whether you feel that you want to do it or not. But yes, do it to support you. But if it becomes a crutch, take an action.
Most of the new parents and toddler parents. So let's simplify things for them. Give us 5 practical sleep training tips that parents can implement today. Simple tips.
First thing, for good sleep, please focus on a good schedule. Okay? Get your child onto the schedule. Try and get age appropriate sleep. Even if your child is a school going child and you have activities, if your child has a morning school and wakes up at 6:30 in the morning, please ensure your child is sleeping at 7:30 at night. Okay? They need that sleep in the night. Okay? The whole day is a lot of activity. First thing you need to do is follow age appropriate awake windows. Get that daytime sleep in. Your daytime sleep is your solution for your night. Okay. Second thing is, even if you're rocking, you're patting, or whatever boundaries you have right now, okay, simplify that for yourself. Okay, My child needs rocking, तो चाहिए ही. I sing a song also. I read 3 story books also. Simplify it. Speak to your child if your child is a school going age or even at like a 15-month-old age. Today, we are only going to do one book. I will sing the song one time and I will rock you 10 times. Right? Speak to them. Hold that boundary. First day, it's not going to work. Next time the child requests for you something, sandwich your yes and no. So if the child, of course the child is going to say, no, one more storybook. So what you are going to say, I will do the storybook tomorrow, but right now I need you to sleep. So what we are doing is we are not saying a no to them. We are saying when I will give you and what I want you to do right now. So second thing is try to have your boundaries very, very clear.
So we came to 3, right? Schedule.
Yes.
Setting boundaries, making the child part of the plan. And the other 2?
The other 2 was one, that if you are doing rocking, patting or anything, limit yourself, okay? Limit yourself to what you are going to do, okay? That I know my child needs these 3-4 things. You are going to limit yourself saying, okay, I'm only going to do rocking and I'm going to be consistent about it because that is the response. That's how you gently are going to fade yourself into that. Okay. Last thing is be consistent. Okay. I cannot stress that enough. Consistency is our best friend. अभी भी जो आदत लगी है वो consistency की वजह से ही लगी है. So even to remove that consistency in your schedule, in your daytime sleep, even if life goes up and down, just try to bounce back to it and be consistent and your child will definitely sleep better.
I've loved our conversation. It's been so interesting and so informative. And thank you for educating us about the most underrated topic, which is sleep. But it is one of the most important topic for the sanity of the parent and the child. And thank you once again for being a part of this.
Yeah, thank you so much, Zahra. I've loved being here, loved to be in conversation with you, and especially, when it comes from 2 moms who have completely had the experience, the conversation get really interesting. My goal to get into the sleep industry is for that only. Let's take out the stigma. Neend sabko chahiye and let's get our sleep back and get it in a nicer way, in a gentle way that we all love to do it.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
Done. Sure. Thank you.
Thank you.